Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel TechDataEngineer. So in this video series, we will see how to debug a production level Pyspark job. Okay, so if we are doing some hands-on on some ID like Jupyter or some local ID, so that time it is different from how our production Pyspark job is running. Okay. So if we are using some development notebook, okay, so either Jupyter or Google, like Google, some given ID. So if you're using, so you can write the code line by line. You can debug it, and you can print the statement, and you can check if it is correct or like if there is a error in any one of the line. Okay, but if you have already deployed your code in either any one of the cluster, either on cloud or on-prem, and if your PySpark job fails, then it would be very difficult to track that. Okay, so I'll share you some steps like what are the things you have to look into if your production job fails. Okay, so obviously, like debugging a production's job is different from running code in your local things. Okay, so local, if you're running in Jupyter Notebook, so every tab you are getting the output, and if there is some error, you are resolving that and progressing with the next step. But in productions job, anything can happen with any line. Okay, and then you have to trace it out the problem and you have to resolve it. Okay. So, and apart from only the coding part, lines of code, you have certain issue with the logs, a Spark UI, cluster resource managers, some networks issue, some out of memory issue, data validations or checkpoint issue, or some other tooling issue happen if you are not configuring your PySpark file and because of memory and all. So there are lot many things which will occurs when you will run your job in productions. Okay, so you have to deal with in case of productions thing, you have to deal with logs, Spark UI like its history server, then cluster resource manager, yarn or Kate like Kubernetes, and then data validation checkpoints monitoring tool. So what are the common types of issue in productions by a Spark job we face mostly? Okay, so if you talk about the code perspective, so in code perspective we are getting like null pointer or wrong logic or schema mismatch. Okay, so either source or string, anything schema mismatch happen. If you talk about the data perspective, so there is a null or skew data, corrupted format, anything can happen, and because of that, you will face the issue. Okay. Then if you talk about the cluster issue, then the out of memory, so executor loss or long garbage collector. So because of that, you will face the problem. Then Spark configurations. So if you are giving too many partitions or wrong shuffling in your job the configurations, then there also you'll face the problem. Then external system fails, like fail due to while writing you are failing, or because of certain external database connections issue, or in anything can happen, or Kafka or some, if you're reading data from some topic or writing to S3 or cloud. So if any external system have issue, then you will face the problem also. Okay, so, so these are the category like code, data, cluster, Spark configurations, and external system. Because of anything, you will face the issue in your production Spark job. Okay. Then we'll see the steps also. If which categories of error will occur, then how to debug that. Okay. There are a lot many things to handle, but I have segregated based on the frequent issues. Okay. And then we can see. So, like step by step, I have listed out like how to debug your PySpark job. So first, what we have to do, we have to in production job always configure the log property. So log property, what it will do, it will like if you are debugging your job, it will give the more details about the error. Okay, then how you have to do, you have to go to your Spark configuration file. You have to set like a spark context dot short set log label. Okay, so if you'll set the log label, you can write the logger also. So whenever there is a issue happen in your code, it will print the message. So always set the logger in your production job. This is the first thing. Then you have to check the Spark UI. So access the Spark UI. So usually available by Spark History Server or Yarn or K dashboard. So wherever your job is deployed, and you can check based on that. So if you're normally deploying, so you'll check the Spark History Server, or if it is on Yarn or K, so you can check the Yarn or K dashboard also. So in Spark History Server, what you can check the stage, task if you're submitting your Spark job. We have already seen that how it is getting created, how it is getting converted to stages, task, job, and everything. Okay, how DAG is getting created, how lineage graph is getting formed. So we have to track based on that. So if you'll check your Spark History Server, it will give the stages, like check where the job is stuck or slow. Okay, so every stage it will show the time durations, it will show the resources and everything. If you check the history server, it will give the details. Then you can see the task, like see SQ partitions or failed task. Then how many how many executor are running that particular stage or task, and which is particular stage is getting failed. Okay, so you can track back everything. Then check the SQL tab, view the DAG and physical optimization graph. So based on that also you can track your job. Then executor tab, like view the memory uses, garbage collector time, how many executor get how many executor parallelly running with respect to the job or stage. So you can check. So from history server you have to check. So this is the second most point when you are debugging your PySpark job. You have to check the history server, okay, or K8 or Yarn dashboard. You can check it from anywhere. Then review the logs. So logs are definitely help a lot in your production job. Okay, so there are driver logs. You can see it will show the initialization, job orchestration issue, or executor log show the task failure, data issue. Okay, you can check it from there. Out of memory issue or task failure region. So you can review the log and you can check everything. So apart from that, you can like catch and log the exceptions also. So I'm telling the scenario. So suppose there is a job which is taking the data from your DB, and the data so data is coming in the DB based on the watermark value. Okay, and suppose in your lower label only the data is not there and your job is running, it's getting filled. But if you'll run the exceptions here, so job is getting passed and it will throw error like, okay, exceptions occur because there is no input data. Okay, so something like that you can use the try catch block in your driver file, and you can catch the messages, error messages also. Okay, so then you can use the try or catch block, and you can use the productions related job and everything. Okay, so you can use that. Okay, or apart from this try catch block, you can use the you can log the schema also, print schema or df.show, but avoid df.show because it will take all the data to the driver. Okay, so always avoid df.show. If you are using for like debugging purpose also, after debugging you have to remove that, because that will be again the issue with the optimizations. Okay, so you can use df.print schema to see the schema, if there is a schema mismatch or not, then df.show. And you can, but you can avoid df.show or df.collect in large jobs. Okay, because that will pull all the data to the driver, and that will lag your job. So it will be very I can say it will take much time to do the executions. Okay, then we can validate the schema and data. Okay, so most production jobs are fails due to schema mismatch. So how you can do the schema mismatch? What are the expected schema? So you know that, okay, your show system or sync system have these types of schema. So you have already defined your schema, so that is the expected schema. Okay, so this is the expected schema. So if your actual schema equals to df dot schema, and if actual schema is not equal to expected schema, then you can raise the exceptions like schema mismatch. So you know the schema, so already if your schema is not matching with the incoming schema, so there is a schema mismatch issue, and then you can raise the exceptions. So these types of validations you have to write in your code. These types of uh, things you have to do in your code so that it will, if there is a predefined error like this, so it will automatically give the exceptions. Okay, so you don't have to debug multiple time. Then track the data skewness. So when one partition has huge data, so some text too long, so then that is there is a issue with the schema. So how to detect that? So in Spark UI, see the duration in a stage. Okay, so if you check the history server, it will see the duration in a stage tab, and you can, based on that, you can check, okay, this particular have the schema issue, or you can check the skew join usually do that. Okay, what is the solution for that? If you're getting the skewness in your data, so what is the solution? You can use the sorting or bucketing or partitioning, like with the repartitions you can do that, and you can use the broadcast join also if table is small. So these are the solutions you can use if there is a issue with your skewness. Okay, then shuffling or memory, you have to check that there is a which stage the job get stuck, or garbage collector time is very high, then you have to check that if out of memory killed executor, because of out of memory your all executor is getting killed, and because of that job is getting failed. So then you have to check that number of shuffles, size of shuffles file, and you have to tune the partitions like a spark.sql.shuffle.partitions. You have to set that, and you can set the memory configuration also. You can set it either in your Spark file or while submitting your job in a Spark submit command, like executor memory is 4 GB, or you can increase to 4 GB to 8 GB or 6 GB based on that, and executor code to 2. Okay, and then reduce the data set size. Okay, filter early, one only the required data sent to be for you can say actions or transformations. Okay, so these are the things we have to do. Okay, if you are getting something because of memory issue, check the data quality check. So if missing column or corrupt record, so null check. How to check the df.filter and null, duplicate record, df.group by id count if greater than one, format check. So you can write the regex and you can check the format. If format is matching, you can use that. Then what are the next things we have to do? We can you can do it by integrations failure. So if there is a so suppose the next types of error is integrations failure. Okay, so if there is certain error because of your integration with your external system. Okay, so suppose you are reading the data from some source topic and there is a no data in the source topic or subtopic, so the Kafka server is down, you are not getting the data, so you have to check that. So you have to retry the logic when writing the either BigQuery, S3 or any external system. Validate the credentials, confirm write mode, either we are writing the append or overwrite. Okay, so in case of GCS, check the service account permissions, we have the right permissions or not. Then for BigQuery, we can check the schema compatibility and all. So whenever we are integrating your Kafka, sorry, your Pyspark job with any external system, you have to check the everything permissions, cloud permissions, role permissions, everything. Wherever you are writing in BigQuery and all, so you can check the schema and everything. So by doing this, you will resolve the integrations types of issue. Then next issue come with your PySpark production job is the job slowness. Okay, most of the time you will feel that your job require taking more time. Okay, in your production job. Okay, so how to handle that? So too many small files. Okay, so use collage before writing. Okay, collage or repartitions you can use. If a small number of partitions, I use the repartitions. Why transform and use broadcast if it is safe. If insufficient UDF are there, so if there are a lot many UDF, if write Python UDF, use the Spark SQL functions or Python or Pandas UDF. Okay, that is the vectorized one, so that will be helpful. So if your job is because of the caching issue, so catching unused data, so avoid unnecessary cache or persist. Okay, if it is not required, not there is no recomputations required, so try to avoid unnecessary cache. Okay, then what the next step what you can do, you can check the Spark configurations tips. Okay, so whenever you are doing the Spark configurations, always check whenever you are running your PySpark job, always check your configurations file, Spark configurations, how many shuffle partitions are there, set the default number of partitions. Okay, set the number of partitions, executor memory overhead. Okay, if it is going certain things, then it will be overhead. Then a Spark library maximum result size or a Spark broadcast timeout. Okay, so you can set it everything. You can see the Spark. You can see the PySpark official website and official documentation page, and you can set up all the configurations. Okay, so why some configurations are required for what cause? You can check it and you can set up based on your need. Okay, so and then apart from that, what are the tools we have to help to debug the Spark job? Like I already told, Spark QoS history server, then Yarn or Kubernetes, whatever the you can resource manager using, that log. If you are using the Airflow logs, data log, Grafana. If you are using this the other dashboard, these are the things you have to use. Okay, then for data quality grid, so DQ is there, so you can use that. Okay, or you can write the custom error logs also. You can define the functions, and if there is certain error, you can accept, you can write it. So that way you can solve the problem with your PySpark job. Okay. So we have seen that if there is a issue with your Spark job, Spark configurations, integrations with external system, if is a issue with the data quality, if there is a issue with the supples or memory usage, how to solve that, if there is issue with the data skewness, how to solve that with the use of sorting or repartitions, if there is a validations schema or data issue, then how to solve that, and if there is a so normal issue, you know that this case might happen to certain exceptions. Then you can all try catch block, and you can accept. You can use in your code for getting the exceptions. Okay. Then you can review the logs, check the Spark QA, that is must, and then you can set the always set the logger in your production show. Okay. So these, if you'll follow the simple steps, definitely you will overcome your production Spice Spark job issue. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for watching.